Hello, all. Hope you guys are having a great week thus far. Welcome back to BC's Sports Historian channel, where we like to talk about the could've, would've, and should've's of the sports world. Now, we are mainly going to focus on former football and baseball players, but we will slide in a few videos of former basketball players as well. And as always, if there are any former athletes that you would like us to discuss on this channel, just list them below in the comment section. I am your boy BC, and today we are jumping into another great video where we are going to discuss Lendale White, former big bruising running back from the University of Southern California, and professionally played with the Tennessee Titans and a couple other short stints with some other teams that we're going to get into. So let's dive right in. Lendale Anthony White was born on December 20th, 1984. He attended South High School in Denver, Colorado. He played football in 1999 and 2000, and he made the Rocky Mountain News All-Colorado First Team in 2000 and the Rocky Mountain News Class 5A All-State First Team both years. White then enrolled at Chatfield Senior High in Littleton, Colorado, where as a junior in 2001, he earned Rocky Mountain News All-Colorado First Team and Rocky Mountain News Class 5A All-State First Team notices. He rushed for 1,850 yards with 30 touchdowns and had 185 receiving yards with 2 touchdowns in 2001. Chatfield went 14-0 in 2001 and was the Class 5A champion. His coach at Chatfield was Dave Logan, the former Colorado All-American wide receiver who played in the NFL for the Cleveland Browns and Denver Broncos. White's 2002 honors included Gatorade Colorado Player of the Year, Rocky Mountain News All-Colorado First Team, and Rocky Mountain News Class 5A All-State First Team as a senior tailback at Chatfield. His senior year, he ran for 1,683 yards and 20 touchdowns in 2002. He played in the 2003 U.S. Army All-American Bowl with several of his future USC Trojan teammates. He finished his high school career as Colorado's career high school rushing leader with 7,804 yards. All of these accolades landed Lendale a scholarship at the University of Southern California, otherwise known as USC. White shared his playing time at tailback with none other than the great Reggie Bush at the University of Southern California. Despite being the less hyped member of the Trojan backfield, White was a standout rusher who led the team in rushing in his first 2 seasons and was a 2005 All-American selection. White and Bush formed a thunder and lightning combination, with Bush playing the smaller but faster back, while White was the bigger, stronger, more bruising style running back. This combination gave USC a formidable backfield of rushers. Both combined for 3,042 rushing yards and 40 rushing touchdowns in 2005. On January 4th, 2005, White rushed for 3 touchdowns in a 55-19 victory over the Oklahoma Sooners in the 2005 Orange Bowl game played at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. A year later, on January 4th, 2006, White again rushed for 3 touchdowns in USC's 41-38 loss to the Texas Longhorns in the 2006 Rose Bowl, played at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. He led the nation with 24 rushing touchdowns in 2005. In his 3 years, White set the USC career rushing touchdowns record of 52. He also finished with 3,159 yards and a 5.9 average per rush. After the Rose Bowl, White declared himself eligible for the NFL draft. Have a chart here of Lendale White's college statistics. In 2003, as a freshman, he had 754 rushing yards and 13 touchdowns. In 2004, he had 1,103 rushing yards with 15 touchdowns. And in 2005, it was his best season of his collegiate career with 1,302 yards and 24 touchdowns. So each season he progressively got better in pretty much all statistical categories: yards per rush, rushing yards, touchdowns, even receptions, reception yards, and reception touchdowns. Going into the draft, we have his pre-draft measurables here. His height was listed at 6 foot and 3/8 of an inch, weight of 238 pounds, and bench press of 15 reps, which we're going to get into a little bit here. I'm not too much of a stat junkie, number cruncher, especially when it comes to measurables off the field like height, weight, and 40 times, hand span, arm length, bench press, that kind of stuff. A lot of NFL teams use these metrics, but to me it doesn't exactly equate to the final product that you get on the field. But we're going to get into it here because there was a little disappointment amongst NFL teams and scouts. Promptly after declaring for the NFL draft, White's stock tumbled. Lendale White did not really go through a full workout before scouts at the NFL scouting combine. Reportedly, there were audible groans when he bared his chest at a weigh-in. One scout was said to have laughed upon seeing Lendale's bare chest. ESPN's Fantasy Focus podcast referred to him as Big Fat Lendale White. This also spawned another nickname for him, Len Whale White. As one NFL general manager said after seeing White at the combine, the guy needed a brawl. It was ridiculous. You come to the combine looking like that and you want to be a first round pick? Come on. The guy had obviously been doing nothing. Now, I just have to say at this point here, as someone who has suffered from a condition called gynecomastia, which is breast tissue formation at the bottom of your chest, I have to admit it sucks. And I don't know if Lendale White suffered from the same thing, but really, no amount of working out, especially focusing on the lower chest, is going to get rid of some of that fatty tissue at the bottom of your chest. That can only be removed surgically. So I had it done, and it was the only way to get rid of the, quote, man boobs, unquote. But I don't know if that was Lendale's case, but I do kind of feel for him on that. If he was suffering through the same condition, you can't necessarily judge a book by its cover like that. But just had to throw in my 2 cents there because that's a personal issue of mine that I had. Well, moving on. During USC's pro day, he cited hamstring worries as a reason not running or performing any workouts aside from the bench press, where he managed only 15 repetitions at 225 pounds. An out-of-shape White did sustain a torn hamstring, but surgery was not required to mend it. His injury did, however, keep him off the field until May of 2006. And again, the whole bench press thing, as a 225-pound running back, yeah, you probably think, that he could have done a few more reps, maybe in the more the 25 rep range or more. But again, that's you can't just judge everything off of metrics like this and just stats like this. And for those of you who aren't aware, at the NFL Combine, they measure your strength by how many times you can rep 225 pounds on the bench press. Um, and usually wide receivers and running backs and defensive backs, the average is like 15 to 20. So still wasn't terrible, but for his size and being a bigger guy, you would like to have seen him done more. But again, they say stats like this are for losers. So moving on. White was selected in the second round, 45th overall of the 2006 NFL Draft by the Tennessee Titans. White was used sparingly in his rookie season. He played in 13 games, gaining 244 yards on 61 carries with no touchdowns. White also caught 14 passes for 60 yards. Lendale White began the 2007 season splitting time with running back Chris Brown. He was held for under 60 rushing yards in the first 4 games. On October 21st, with Brown sidelined with an injury, White recorded his first 100-yard rushing game against the Houston Texans. He followed up that performance with a career-high 133-yard rushing performance against the Oakland Raiders. For the season, Lendale White rushed for 1,110 yards and 7 touchdowns with a 3.7-yard average. White underwent arthroscopic knee surgery. That's a hard word to say there, at least for me anyway. The knee had bothered White during the latter half of the 2007 season, but he was expected to be at full strength for off-season mini camps in May. On March 15, 2008, White received citations for destruction of property, disobedience to a lawful order, interference, and resistance while in Denver, Colorado, though all of these charges were later dropped. White was joined in the Tennessee Titan backfield by rookie Chris Johnson the following season, who was selected with the 24th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft. The duo eventually became known as Smash and Dash. White had career highs in touchdowns in a season with 15, longest run in a season with 80 yards, touchdowns in one game with 3, and rushing yards in a game 149. He also created controversy after the Titans defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers by stomping on a terrible towel. White finished the 2008 season with 773 rushing yards and 15 touchdowns, leading the AFC. White lost significant weight prior to the 2009 season, dropping to 229 pounds, claiming a tougher training regimen and cutting tequila out of his diet aided in his weight loss. After splitting carries with Johnson in 2008, White was virtually a non-factor in 2009 as Johnson became the featured back. White was re-signed by the Titans on April 15, 2010. White was traded to the Seattle Seahawks on April 24, 2010. The trade reunited Lendale White and his former USC head coach, Pete Carroll. Shortly after signing, word leaked that White had failed an NFL drug test and would be suspended for the first 4 games of the 2010 season. The Seahawks released White on May 28, 2010. On August 4, 2010, White was signed to a 2-year deal by the Denver Broncos. However, on September 2nd, in the Broncos' last preseason game at the Minnesota Vikings, White suffered a torn Achilles tendon and missed the entire 2010 season. He subsequently was released on August 16, 2011. This seems to be the end of Lendale White's playing career at this point. Looking at a chart of his NFL career statistics, as mentioned, his first season was very little activity. He only had 61 rushing attempts and 244 yards and no touchdowns. 2007 was by far his best season, where he rushed for 1,110 yards with 7 touchdowns. Moving on, my thoughts on Lendale White. I remember him quite well. He was another big, bruising, strong running back, kind of similar to Eddie Lacy. His athleticism, I thought, was kind of underrated. He could move a little bit, especially for a guy of his size. And he was a great complement to Reggie Bush at the University of Southern California. As a linebacker, back in high school, only high school, no big D1 career or anything like that. But I can tell you, trying to tackle someone like a Lendale White is not easy. At 6'1", damn near 230 pounds, that is a load. Okay, and the biggest I ever was in my playing days was 225 pounds. And you're trying to bring down a running back who, at least in high school, is supposed to be much smaller than you. Yeah, when you meet those guys one-on-one in the gaps, you have to get very, very low in order to get enough leverage to get these guys down. And these guys, their legs are so big and strong, even if you get low and you get a hold of them, they still might drag you for a few yards. So that's the type of running back that Lendale White was. And I'm glad that I did not have to see him on the football field myself. After football, it took Lendale a little while to find his next calling in life. We were able to find an article written by Jim Wyatt, which describes Lendale's struggles after his playing career was over. And he writes, after a memorable playing career in college and the NFL, former Titans running back found himself unemployed and depressed. White's phone wasn't ringing, and his days of living life in the fast lane had suddenly come to an end. White fell into a dark, lonely place. Lendale says, there were thoughts of suicide, I can't lie. There were thoughts of taking sleeping pills and never waking up. I was very low. The depression, the stress, all of that had kicked in. The finances got low. When you think you're never going to get your head above water again, there's all kinds of things that run through your mind. I was messed up. Popping pills, smoking weed, drinking lean. I just kept going into a deeper hole. This was Lendale White's mindset roughly 10 to 12 years ago. It was after he'd been cut by his hometown team, the Denver Broncos, and he realized he played his last snap of football. After starring in college at USC, White's best NFL years came from 2006 to 2009 with the Titans before he was traded to the Seahawks. But now he was missing football and the life that came with it. About that same time, a friend, former Titans teammate Chris Johnson, called White over and over and over again to come visit him in Nashville. This went on for months and months. White provided excuses, But Johnson didn't give up. When White finally agreed to make the trip, Johnson gave him the boost he needed, even if he didn't realize it at the time. Chris Johnson offered White money and his car. He ended up giving him a pep talk that resonated and kept him focused on the positives of his life. He kept pouring positivity on him. Looking back, Lendale White credits Johnson for giving him hope and setting him on a path that led him to better days. Lendale says, "He saved my life. Hell yeah, he saved my life. I can honestly say that because I was messed up. I was in my mom's basement and I didn't come out for damn near nothing. I didn't care about anything. Thinking about all this, it makes me get teary-eyed because where I was back then, it was so black for me. CJ brought me back in and it meant the world to me. I am so thankful for CJ because I don't know where I'd be without him. No one knows where I was when he brought me out of that black hole. I'll forever be thankful to him. He's like a knight in shining armor for sure." Chris Johnson said he'd do anything for White. He admits he didn't find out the magnitude of White's stress until later. Chris Johnson says, "At the time, I didn't know he was going through all that. I was still playing and I didn't know what it was like to get cut and have no teams call you. I was calling him then because he was a friend and I miss seeing him. We used to hang out all the time and now he wasn't around. It wasn't until later when I realized that what he was going through. Back then, I didn't know that he was depressed." Chris Johnson and Lendale White continue to hang out to this day, thanks in part to the podcast that they've created known as Smash and Dash. Chris Johnson also says, "Me and Lendale, we go back together on so many topics, different things. We're friends, so it's cool to hang out and do the whole podcast thing. It keeps us together and gives us something to do." The story of these two started in Nashville back in 2008. Chris Johnson arrived in Music City that year after being drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. He joined a team that already included Lendale White, part of the 2006 NFL draft, that also included quarterback Vince Young. The running backs immediately hit it off. They found out quickly that they had common interests, from their love of rapper Lil Wayne to their taste in clothing and Jordan Air Force One shoes. They both talked about taking care of their mother. Their brothers became friends. White and Johnson spent countless hours together at the practice facility on road trips or after practice. White lived in the Green Hills area in Nashville at the time, so Johnson regularly stopped by on his way home to Brentwood, just south of Nashville. They spent Thanksgiving and Christmas together. "It was kind of like we were family," Johnson said. "We instantly felt like we were brothers, and it's still like that today." On the football field, they had a blast. Johnson as the electrifying home run hitter who ran for 2,006 yards in 2009. White was the bruising back who rushed for 15 touchdowns in Johnson's first season with the team, a year after he tallied 1,110 yards. Over the years, their bond has grown stronger. Johnson, even with 3 children now, made sure of that, even as his career continued through 2017 when he played his last year with the Arizona Cardinals. Lendale White is thankful. The podcast gives them a reason to meet up now, but they'd be involved in one another's lives regardless, they say. White says he feels like he's a part of Johnson's family, involved the lives of his kids, and it makes him happy. White, who lives in Denver, said he probably spends 3 months out of the year with Johnson, who makes his home in Orlando. White said he talks to Johnson's kids on a regular basis like they're his own nephews. The former teammates say they'll be friends forever. I have bad days still. I don't want to act like there's not bad days because depression is real, White said. But I want people to know it is okay to find help. You are going to have your good days and you are going to have your bad days. But just knowing for me, there's somebody like CJ in your corner, it definitely does something for you for sure. I don't want to let CJ down. I don't want to let myself down no more. I don't know where I'd be without Chris Johnson. Oh, it looks like Lendale has found something very positive to move on to after football, thanks to his former teammate Chris Johnson. I'm very, very happy to hear that. Sometimes it takes a little while for some players to move on to the next chapter in their lives after football. I'll link in the description below a link to a video where Lendale White kind of discusses what he was going through with Johnny Manziel. It's a short, maybe about 2-minute video that's where Lendale tells you himself what he was going through, and it's something I feel for him and a lot of athletes on. You know, you're the man. You're used to being the man, high school, college, pros for a little bit, and then out of nowhere it just stops, and or it can get taken away from you via injury or just so many different things. And I'm very, very happy that Lendale has moved on to something positive and is continuing on with the next phase of his life. Lendale White is currently a host for the Steady Picks podcast with Chris Johnson, and they have their own personal podcast, Smash and Dash, where they discuss matchups and sports bets and other topics. He also works as a show host for Steady Picks and is involved in a campaign to raise awareness for cancer screening through NFL alumni. White has also been vocal about his opinions on USC football and coaches. So that wraps up the subject of Mr. Lendale White. Again, happy for him, and I wish him continued success and nothing but the best. As always, please let us know if there are any athletes in particular that you would like us to discuss on this channel. We love doing the research. We love finding out what happened to a lot of our favorite athletes, and let us know who your favorite athletes are in the comment section below. Please like and subscribe, and we will catch you on the next video. Peace.